Everyone talked about what a saint my grandpa was. His only son died just before graduating high school. A freak accident, everyone said. Such a shame, they all said. He had so much potential. They didn't know my dad knocked up my mum. She said they were in love. They were going to raise me together. But after he died, she couldn't bear to look at me anymore. My grandpa was the only one willing to take me in. He said that she had tears in her eyes when she handed me to him. I don't know if that's true or not, but I'd like to think so. I could never get a read on him. I think he cared about me. I used to catch him glancing in my direction, his face softening into a smile. In those moments, he'd shuffle over to me and ruffle my hair, muttering gruff old man encouragement that always ended with kiddo. I still remember the sound of his slippers scraping against the floor. More often than not, though, he'd be entirely unpredictable. He'd make me a sandwich and slap it out of my hands before I could take a bite. Bread and meat would splatter to the floor, and he'd just stare at me. Then he'd go make me another. He'd rigged up elaborate pranks to scare me. He called it reflex training. I thought it was torture. I can't count how many times I was hit in the head by a random flying ball. A quick heads up was not enough time to react. Every thump on the head was met with a defeated sigh from him. He told me that I was too soft. I needed to man up or I'd never survive. I took up football for him, but that didn't seem to make him happy either. I thought maybe if I toughened up, the pranks would stop. But they didn't. In fact, they increased, as if Grandpa knew I could handle it. The mirror shattering was the worst prank of them all. I was washing my hands when suddenly the mirror just exploded. Luckily, I ducked fast enough to avoid the sharp glass shards. A second later, I heard those slippers scrape the floor as Grandpa hurried in. He told me to back up. It was just a prank. There was no reason to cry over a prank. And besides, I wasn't hurt, was I? I couldn't understand why he'd do these things. Sometimes I wondered if he didn't really want me after all. Maybe this was his way to get me to live on my own so that he could still be the good guy. I considered it too. I researched emancipation at 15, but he left me before I could leave him. His will left me everything, except the house. He explicitly stated that the house should be burned down and the earth salted. Even in death, Grandpa was still playing pranks on me. And so here I am, forced to clean and pack everything in sight. It was strange going into his room. It's not that Grandpa ever had a firm rule about staying away, but he always said that room was not meant for me. I thought I felt a tingle as I stepped through the doorway, but I'm sure it was just a feeling of unfamiliarity. I hadn't known that Grandpa kept a diary, nor did I know that he left it free and open on his bedside table. He must have been writing when he passed. I wasn't sure if I wanted to open it or not. Did I really want to know what he thought about me? That he only kept me out of obligation? That he resented me for being an inadequate replacement for his son? Like a siren's call, the book lured me in. My gaze flicked to the open page. Young Michael reminds me more and more of my Jacob every day. He was such a sensitive soul, and Michael's no different. It's why I have to push him to make him stronger. I know how much he hates it, but I won't let him be taken the same way she took my son. She won't be happy until she's taken away everything that I've taken from her. I've resisted for so long, but I'm so tired. I'm not a young man anymore. I'll give her exactly what she wants. I understand now. It's the only way for Michael to be free. I just hope that I've done enough to keep him safe. The entry ended, but my curiosity was kindled. I snatched the diary and plopped onto the bed, flipping through the pages. There weren't many entries. I started with the first one. I recognize the signs everywhere. It doesn't matter where I go. She's tethered to me, just like we were in marriage. I thought it was till death do we part, but it seems she's not ready to let me go. She hasn't forgiven me, and I don't blame her. I was so angry when I found out Jacob was not my blood. I felt a twisted sense of satisfaction when there were complications during the birth. It was karma. She couldn't betray me like that and suffer no consequences. She had to suffer. And when the time came to make a choice, I chose to let her die. I don't know what I can do to placate her. It isn't enough that she claimed back her son. She wants Michael too, but I won't let her have him. This time I'm prepared. I know all of her tricks. She tried to poison him. I saw the smear of peanut butter along the edge of the sandwich. Michael almost ate too. He didn't even check. I thought I taught him better than that. I had to act fast, but I didn't expect the look he gave me. His eyes were muddled with confusion and fear. My own grandson is scared of me. Are you happy now, Anna? Her anger is too strong. She's affecting even the house now. She broke the mirror while Michael was in the bathroom. By the time I got there, glass was everywhere and the poor boy was cowering under the sink. When I heard that crash, I thought she got him. It was the longest journey up the stairs I'd ever taken. All I could see were flashbacks of Jacob, how he looked like a glass doll, so still and so cold. And I was terrified I'd find Michael the same way, with eyes frozen wide open. I was so relieved to find him unharmed. I felt like I could finally breathe again. Thank God for the reflex training. I didn't know how to explain it to Michael. I told him what I always told him, and God, how he screamed at me. Each bitter word cut away at my heart, but I deserved it. I'm just as horrible a father the second time around as I was the first. What kind of man can keep his own family safe? What kind of man lets his children pay for his own sins? I didn't bother with gloves when I cleaned up the bathroom. The glass couldn't hurt me any more than she already has. When I looked up from the page, I was surprised to feel wetness on my cheeks. My thoughts were a puddle of confusion. How could I have been so wrong about him? Emotion flooded out of me like a breaking dam. The turmoil, bittersweet, and everything in between came tumbling together. I couldn't remember the last nice thing I said to him. I wish I told him how much he meant to me, because despite everything, I did love him. He was my grandpa. Instead, all the harsh things I ever said inked into my mind like a tattoo of regret. I'm so sorry, Grandpa. As I closed the diary, a soft breeze ruffled my hair and the wind whistled. I love you, kiddo.